I see this as an act of worship, of thanksgiving. We all have been given this gift of life. Every one of us. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, you are living and breathing. That's a gift. This day, today, right now, right here, listening to this is a gift. Because so many people, they've expired, their gift is expired, or they just can't fully live into it for their health reasons or whatever. So by setting out a vision for our life, it's like I get to fully use this gift, to dream so big into this, what I've been given.
Welcome to the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, a global community of women in midlife. I'm here to tell you that it's your time now to rediscover what has always been inside of you and bring that out into the world. If you're wondering what's next, but don't know quite what that is, or if you feel a twinge in your heart telling you that you have so much more to do and so much more to offer, you're in the right place. Ask yourself, if not now, when? Do you want to leave your job, start your own business, take control of your health, reignite the passion in your marriage, write that book, or at least that first chapter? Transitions like this can be daunting, but through listening to my story and interviews with incredible women every week, I hope to inspire you to take action. I rediscovered myself after the age of 50, and I know you can too. It's my time now to help you do just that. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, my beautiful friend, and welcome to this next episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I certainly hope you're enjoying a beautiful summer so far, wherever you are. It has been extremely hot all over the world, and I hope you and your loved ones remain safe and healthy also. So I was thinking about purpose today. And as I was doing my morning routine, walking my dog, Lena, listening to a few episodes of Abraham Hicks messages, meditating and journaling, I feel compelled to talk about purpose. That word can be very daunting to many, and it was to me for many years. For many, finding our purpose means fulfilling the next big thing and then being happy, or reaching the next big milestone and then the next, which always leaves us wanting for more. But what if it was more simple than that? What if our purpose is just to be happy? Have you ever sat down and just considered, what makes me happy? As I was watching Lena this morning, I noticed how she doesn't have a care in the world. Each moment is a decision. Should I do this or that? And which decision is going to make me happier? She has no recollection of the past to jade her opinions, and no knowledge of the future which can put fear in her. It's just this moment and a decision. If I have a decision to make at this moment, what course of action is going to make me happy? Of course, I'm not suggesting we go through life with no plans or goals. But if we make these little minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day decisions, they will lead to the proper course of action, which makes us happy, and ultimately our purpose will unfold. Why are you doing the things that you are doing? Do they make you happy? If not, what decisions do you have to make to alter the course of what you are doing? I think today especially, I feel so grateful for everything in my life, my beautiful family, my health, the ability to speak to you about what's in my heart, my clients whose lives I am positively influencing, and for you, taking the time out to listen to this. Over the summer, I'm going to take some time to really reflect on how I can serve you best. I am a coach for women in midlife, you know that. But how else can I serve you? What do you need? I'd love it if you drop me a line or two to tell me what you need. Also, which of my guests resonated with you? Or do you prefer more of my solo episodes? You can help me so much by leaving a review on iTunes for this podcast. Also, by telling your friends about it. My mission has not changed. It is to empower 1 million women in midlife worldwide to live the next stage in their lives to the fullest. Help me on this quest, my friend. I hope you enjoy this week's episode where I speak to Debbi Sluys about the power of vision boards. Without a vision for what we want, how can we achieve it? Remember, be like my little Lena and take each moment in your life. Make a decision. Is this going to make me happy or not? Enjoy the interview, and I'll see you at the end with the key takeaways. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Midlife Reinvention Podcast. I'm your host, Kavita Ahuja, and the founder of Power Purpose Play, which is a global community of women in midlife. I'm also a certified life transition and core energy coach, and my bold mission is to empower 1 million women in midlife worldwide to find their inner power and purpose, and to say with confidence, it's my time now. As part of this mission, I interview incredible women for this podcast who share their stories of reinvention and who will give you their advice on how to overcome the obstacles in your way to reach the vision for yourself in this next stage of life. This week, I am super excited to have on the show Debbi Sluys. Debbi is the founder of Dare to Dream and is a coach, trainer, and speaker who specializes in helping people expand their brain's potential to see what is possible for their future with vision boards. As a former child care director, Debbi has studied personal development for over 30 years and has facilitated and witnessed science at work by guiding over 1,000 clients to identify and declare their vision both online and in person in her Dare to Declare studio. Debbi has been featured on the High Performing Coach podcast and interviewed by Jack Canfield, who's the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, for his Success TV. She lives in Chatham, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to the podcast, Debbi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. And I just love your visionary statement about 1 million women.
Yes.
That I got goosebumps. I felt my energy rising.
Really?
Thank you for that.
Sometimes you have to put the bold visions out there. And by 1 million, it could be personally or just listening to this podcast or by taking my course or by being my client. It's how can we influence and engage with people all over the world. So I'm really excited to get into how the process you did follow and teach people. So I understand you're in Florida right now.
I am, yes. So you can see the decor here is a little bit summery, and I'm wearing summery
I see
today.
that.
My little pineapples.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I thank you for coming on when you're on your vacation. So Debbi, my podcast is called Midlife Reinvention, and I'd love for you to tell our listeners or share your story of reinvention. And as I mentioned in the introduction, you were formerly in the child care space, development world. And so what led you to decide to move into teaching vision boards? Was there kind of a defining moment, or?
I don't know that the defining moment about leaving my career and really fully stepping in and really jumping out of the airplane with my parachute on though, but just making that leap. I was just reading, I'm reading right now, Think, Grow, Rich, and talking about burning bridges, right? And just burning the ships, leaving them behind, that moment. But leading up to that, as I said, I was in childcare, and it was like this growing inner urge. It's the best way I can describe it. It was like this sense of anticipation that knowing I'm meant for something bigger and just being open and curious to what was showing up. And I know that I was working as a director, so it was multi-site. I had a team of about 75, predominantly women. And so I didn't know it then, but I was doing a lot of coaching. And what the women were coming into my office with weren't necessarily concerns that had to do with the professional development. They were quite astute in their skill set about care of children, but it was more to do with their personal development. And I'm learning more and more as well about the work with the inner child and how much those subconscious beliefs and values inform our actions. And if you're not aware of that, it's like it can be all very confusing, and it impacts your professional career in the way that you respond to disgruntled parents or the way that you deal with stress if a child's crying all day, things that are triggering to you. So I didn't really understand it all then, but I knew that that was something that I really enjoyed, was supporting. And when women were having their aha moments, I loved it. And as you said, my public speaking also contributed to that because I attracted to me. Now I see that in hindsight, this opportunity, because we're both from Ontario, the province of Ontario decided about 17, 18 years ago that there was a better way of being with children. And I love the power of play, like that you've got that, because that was really the fundamental piece, was how to get back to play for children. And it sounds so simplistic, but we really had gotten away from that. It was becoming very academic in terms of way we were with young children. And we know children learn best through play.
Yes.
And so our childcare was chosen as one of the few in the province to pilot this new way of being. And so I started storytelling, because that's what I was asked to do. Tell your story about the transformation that happened within your childcare. And that storytelling turned into public speaking. All of a sudden I'm in front of huge auditoriums of people with big screens, and I'm sharing, and I'm with PowerPoints, and I was doing workshops. And I suddenly realized, like you said, I can impact a lot more people with my message, with my passion, passing I on. I got that from one of my educators around breaking down the word of passion. And how do I do that? And so I started my company with vision boards, but the vision boards actually was an aha moment when I went to have a photo shoot done, because with my public speaking, with my earlier career, people like you had asked me for a bio, for a professional photograph. And I didn't have one. I just had like a selfie. And so I went at a photo shoot, and that photo shoot was the first inkling I had to what was possible for myself by looking at my own photo and looking at her and thinking, oh, she looks like a rock star. She's up to big
Who
things.
is that?
And who is that? And the photographer said, well, it's you. And I'd say, well, I don't feel like her, but for a moment I did. And I had that magical feeling of what was possible. And I wanted to dig into that more for myself, but I thought, if I can have this, I can share this with others and they can have it too. And then vision boards came across my news feed. There's a woman in the United States doing it as a business. And so I knew that, yes, it was a business opportunity, but I saw it also, I really wanted to dig into what is a vision board and why does it work? And how does it work in terms of my Christian beliefs as well? And so, like you said, I ran across Jack Canfield's work, and he co-wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. He attributes vision boarding and visioning as part of his success, a big part of his success. And he wrote the success principles. So I read that book religiously. And so I just started to dig into what it was, but I created my own curriculum. So I don't know if that I've just gotten rambled off here.
No. That was it. That's exactly like it was. The question was, how did you go from the childcare to doing vision board? And you kind of explained it. And I think from what I get from that is that you kind of, if I understand correctly, you really followed your gut and your intuition. It seems as though, and that's what I did too in my reinvention. You just had that you said that there was an inner urge, a sense of anticipation that you were meant for something different. So obviously you listened to that inner urge. Tell us about that. Now, why is it so important for us to listen to these inner signals, or these signals that come our way and act upon them?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. We all receive them. Everyone receives them. It's like, I should call her, or I wonder how that person's doing, or what if I went here instead of here? We have these inner guidance, inner messages, but it's if we choose to act on them.
Right.
And Mel Robbins, I think, talks about this really small window that you have, that if you don't, then it's lost. So the key is that not to analyze, because what's going to happen is that protector that's within, I was talking about the inner child, the protector, will probably want to talk you out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't feel safe. And why doesn't it feel safe? Because it's unknown. And so there's going to be all kinds of excuses that will come up to say, I'm going to be late for something else. Oh, it doesn't matter. People will laugh at me. That's just silly. And so we don't.
Yes.
But when we do, and the more often that we do, then they're going to become more clear.
Yes.
And there's going to be more of them. And that's when you really step into that magical life, is when you are following your intuition and when you're taking those chances and those risks to see what's possible.
Yes, absolutely. And I've seen so much evidence of that in my own life. We can easily go through life and kind of ignore these signals and everything is fine. But when you actually open yourself up to receiving those signals, it is quite magical what can happen. And the people you can meet, the people that come into your lives, the situations, the opportunities that come your way. So that's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. So when you talked earlier, you said, well, you were looking into it when you first got into it and said, what is a vision board? So maybe you can describe, I mean, we've all seen, many of us have probably seen pictures of it, but what, in your definition, what is a vision board, and what is the connection between an image and a vision for what is possible?
Okay.
It's a lot.
I know. I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah. How much time do I have?
I'll have to give the Coles Notes version.
Yeah.
So what a vision board is not, is most people think about a vision board is, what do I want to have? What do I need to do to have that stuff? And then I will be happy. And what I do is I turn it on its head. Mm-hmm. And I encourage my clients to start with their being, with who they are. Who do I get to be, the best version of me? And as I said, it started for me with my photo shoot. And I would encourage any woman who's going and reinventing herself, whether she decides that she wants to go into business or just simply go get a photo shoot done, a professional branding photo shoot. It's a phenomenal experience.
Yeah.
It's really a form of self-care.
Hi, my friend. Kavita here. Do you often feel blocked from moving forward? We all feel that way at times. These are referred to as energy blocks. I've created a short, actionable PDF guide to help you release your negative energy blocks. Click the link in the description to download it now for free. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yes, I never thought of that, because actually when I got mine done, I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad. Like, you see yourself in a different light, but sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it's true. And so even if you're like, well, I'm not an entrepreneur, or I don't fit into any of these other categories, simply to have a beautiful profile picture for you on social media.
Yes.
Or just to give it to your partner, to your kids, So anyways, I would highly recommend that. So we start with the being, who do I get to be? Yeah. And then the next is the do, which are the goals. So I want to just distinguish between a vision and goals. Mm-hmm. So most people, again, mix it up where they've got goals and vision on their vision board. And the distinction that I make is that vision is something that you cannot physically accomplish yourself. So that's why creating a Dare to Declare vision board is very scary. And I'm going to be there every step of the way to support you. I've been called the vision whisperer before, where I can help pull those out of you. But when we put things on a board physically, like just an image of something that we can see, that we have no idea how that's going to be accomplished, mm-hmm. that really stretches our ego. Our ego wants to shut that down and say, we like the gold star. We like the check marks. We like to know that we know exactly how it's going to happen. But that's the more get to it, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, that's goal setting. Mm-hmm. Now, goals help you accomplish your vision. And that's what I work with my clients after they've created the vision board, is that we work on goals. So I have like a 3-month program as well, where I work one-on-one with clients if they wish. Mm-hmm. And then the last is have. And so be, do, and have. And the have, we get to just hold that loosely. And I was on a podcast a little while ago with a pastor, both husband and wife are both pastors. And he said, so what do you tell people that don't believe in the name it and claim it? And that's sort of in evangelical circles, that's kind of like a way of being. And to his surprise, I said, actually, I don't prescribe to that. He said, you don't? And I said, no, because you're making the universe, you're making God small. Because I get to declare it, I get to name it and declare it, but then I'm leaving the outcome up to the universe, which is always bigger and better than I expected, which is why I always need to be in this state of receiving and anticipation and continual relationship with my vision board. Because if I'm not careful, just like the intuition, it can pass me by. So the universe has sent me exactly what I asked for, but it was bigger and better. But because I'm thinking in human terms and in very small way, I might actually have it where it's passed by. I had a client and then that happened exactly, like, to see the aha for her. She's like, oh my word, that's what I was asking for. And I just said no to it. She said, because it actually, had something to do with her art. And she had wanted to really step from being so really in the closet about her art. And someone had asked her to teach them how to do art. And she had said, no, I'm not an artist. And I was like, Dee, she's like, oh, you're right. So sometimes if just hold it loosely.
Yeah.
Hold it loosely in the have, which is the receive.
So is it by creating it and then maybe looking at it every day? What does that do? Like what does that, like, you can create it, but just by putting pictures on a board, how does it actually manifest? And I agree with you about leaving it to the universe because that's the manifestation of your dreams. Like I follow Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction and all that. So is that what it means? Like when you look at it, the vision that you create, is it the law of attraction coming into play here? And how does that work with a vision board?
For sure.
Yeah.
So just to be on a practical sense as well, a dare to declare vision board is not cluttered. It's not a collage. I guess that's the one disciplined area that I just really encourage clients not to create a collage, because our minds thrive best with a sense of order. We like adventure, we like variety, but we still do need, when things are just chaotic, we have to organize that in our mind. So have your vision board be where you leave some white space around it. The reason I also encourage that is because the power of vision board is based on focus, like you were just talking about. So the best time to focus on your vision board is before you go to sleep and when you wake up. So, if you can just only have one of those times, I would actually choose the time before you go to sleep so that you allow your subconscious mind to work. Have you ever had it where you go to sleep and you're dreaming and you wake up in the morning with like this brilliant idea?
Yeah.
I have it quite often.
Yes. Yeah.
And so filling your mind, that real estate in your mind, instead of TV or a book, have your vision board be the last thing that you see. So yes, what happens then is that we rewire our brain. So when we have that focused attention on our board daily, then we are creating new pathways in our brain. And I follow the work of Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Now, she doesn't talk about the law of attraction, but she has worked with, many, many, many patients that suffered brain trauma. And what I believed as well, back when I learned in Hamilton at Mohawk College, my early childhood education, was that a child who didn't receive the love and attention they deserve between the ages of 0 and 5, the brain actually shrinks, which is true. The brain actually prunes itself. But we thought that was a child's plight in life, that was really where they were going to end up, and we could just do some behavior modification programs. But what we know now is that with focused attention, the brain can regrow leafy type branches. And so when we have this positive vision for what we want, like I said earlier, that magical moment that I looked at my own image of what was possible, then we're creating new pathways. And we also see the world in a different way as well. And we not only attract opportunities to us, but we also now can see them where they may have been there, but we never noticed it before. Right. Just like if you purchase a new car, and everybody's driving that car. It seems like, right? Just because that's where your attention is. So yes. And I love, you're talking earlier about that action and that thread and using your intuition. And what I've also noticed is that when I do act, and the law of attraction has the word action embedded in it, because there's a misnomer that sometimes I just sit there with my hands outstretched and wait for things to fall in, but there is action. But when you do act and the universe responds, it's not like a single thing. What I've discovered, it's like the pebble in the pond. It's like, it just has rings. And if I look back sometimes at my life, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, here I am. Like I was just a couple of weeks ago in Nashville. I shared Gabby.
Was I.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh,
so weird. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Gabby Bernstein was there.
Okay. Oh no, I wasn't there, but okay. Yeah.
It was a women's retreat.
Okay.
And she was spoke in the morning, and I got to speak in the afternoon and share my power word, which is like a mini vision board. So I was on the same billet as Gabby Bernstein, who's like one of the top influencers around visioning, manifesting. So within the last 6 months, both of those, Jack Canfield and Gabby Bernstein, have manifested into my life. Extraordinary. But I look at that opportunity and I thread it back. The host of that is Kristen Sullivan, and she is an event planner here in Florida, actually. And she is now one of my graduates from the academy. She found me through my website. We started talking about couples visioning and about vision boards for brides. So it was like from a single conversation a couple of years ago that this has just continued to circle and become bigger and bigger. And as I continue to follow my intuition and say yes and surround myself with extraordinary people, that's what happens.
That's a great story. Congratulations on that. That's amazing.
I just finished her book, Happy Days. It's for your audience, anyone listening. If you, and so many of us, unfortunately, have gone through some kind of trauma as a child, and she calls it big T trauma or little T trauma, whether it be you weren't chosen at recess, for the game, it's little T, or you were sexually abused by an adult, big T. It's a great book. It gives a lot of really great tips. So I think if you haven't read it.
I haven't read it yet. So I will. A lot that you said there, which I really agree with. And one of the things you said is that sometimes people are very, I guess, suspicious, or they don't really understand. They kind of question, oh, well, I'm going to put pictures on a board, or I'm going to say that I want something and it's magically going to appear in my life. And there's not an understanding of the process and the fact that you put it out into the world, or you in a vision, or just in statements, and it comes to you. But you have to have that listen to that inner voice, and have that face, and listen to the breadcrumbs and your intuition, and that kind of all comes together. And I'm sure that's what you teach in your program. But I can see how people are questioning that if they haven't experienced it, right? So just wanted to point that out. But one other thing we talk a lot about here in many of my podcasts, interviewing so many women, is that when we try to do something different in our life, or when we make a change, a transition in our life, like you did from your previous work to vision boards, there's obstacles in your way. And you talked about the inner child and some of these obstacles that come your way. But what kind of obstacles did you face, and how did you kind of overcome them? Are you still overcoming them? And what would you say to women, like, if there's something you really want to do, but there's an obstacle in your way, how do you get over that?
Yeah, I think for myself and for almost every one of my clients, the biggest obstacle to transition, if they are looking at leaving their current situation, whether it be marriage or their career, it comes down to that base in Maslow's pyramid of safety. It feels really scary because am I going to be safe? And then that has to do with money and usually financial independence. And so I would say that was really scary for me and I'm not a big proponent of, hey, everybody just burn the bridges, burn the boats and jump out. For me, I did it over a 2 year, was it 2 years? It was about a year and a half that I was actually straddling both. So I was still full-time into my childcare director role. And I was doing vision board. I had a studio where I was doing them in person on the weekends and evenings. And then the moment that I made that decision, that I really just shoved myself out of the airplane, so to speak, was when I was speaking at a women's conference, and another speaker said, what's the price you're paying for not following your dream? I brought this up in my interview with Jack Canfield as well. And he's like, that's a great question. And it really is. And I always want to attribute that to the other speaker, but what's the price you're paying for not following your dream? And I realized the price was really high. It had to do actually with my mental health, which was now impacting my physical health. At my career, I was sitting in a meeting with a couple of our supervisors, and all of a sudden I couldn't speak. Half my face fell. I had like a mini stroke. They wouldn't call it that, but it's TI, something happened in my brain. So I could think, but it wasn't coming out, and my tongue felt thick and my eye fell. Really, really scary. It lasted for about 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I'm very stubborn, and I didn't go immediately. I should have so if that ever happens to you, call an ambulance, let someone call you an ambulance.
Yeah.
But it did scare me. And when I thought back on that, I thought, wow, this price is really high. And then the second was, what's the price those around you are paying? for you not following your dream. And this might seem harsh, but I remember another woman saying this to me. She said, when you look in the mirror in the morning, I want you to say to yourself, how dare you not show up your highest self? People are waiting for you. And I thought, wow, like to say that to yourself. And it's true. Like, get out of your own way.
Get out of your own way.
Yeah. And so those two questions were crystallized for me. I remember standing at the back of the room thinking, I'm not waiting till I'm 60. I'm doing this today. And that was October 2019. So I gave my notice to my board of directors in January of 2020. I gave them 6 months notice because I had been there for 30 years. And then during my hiring my successor, creating new policies, putting everything in order for my 30-year to exit into my full-time vision board workshops, COVID hit.
Yes.
And I had an oh shit moment because my language, because I was like, I just quit my 30-year career. My safety net is now completely gone.
Yeah.
I can't be in my studio. I can't do in-person workshops. Now what? So I did a couple of things. One, I was already in a coaching program. So I surrounded myself again with experts and I just got myself ready. And then I just thought, what can I do? And I pulled everything I could out of that coaching program. And I was like, I'm going to try to do a free workshop online and see if this will translate at all. Because I'm still really committed not to do digital vision boards. Everything's still in the hand, which is that playfulness in the hand.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
So I'm not a proponent of digital because the access is a different part of our brain versus actually feeling the images, cutting and gluing. And so I created something out of really nothing, which is a single idea. Again, that Think Grow Rich, they talk about a single idea.
Yeah.
And the idea was my power word, which I'd always been doing, was having one word as my focus. So I created this small workshop around that and had 65 people register. And I was like, oh, okay. Wow. And they're from all over the world. And I created 10 paying clients from that.
Wow.
And then I joined a program. You referred to it before. I was on their podcast, I'm a high performing coach. I joined their program. I went right into their mastery. And so go big or go home. And I felt sick to my stomach with my investment because, again, I just left my 30-year career, no pension.
Yeah.
And I just gave half my life savings to this program to fully invest in myself.
Really? Okay. Is that much? Okay.
Well, I didn't have a whole lot saved, but again, childcare. So, but that was at the time, that was my life. That was what I had saved.
Wow.
The years.
Talk about listening to your gut, right?
I did. And so there is a point where you have to be all in. There was no plan B in that. I mean, I knew I could always go back to that career. I was still an early childhood educator. I could still probably get a job, but I wasn't interested in that. I really had that nudge.
Yeah.
I meant for something bigger and I'm just going to follow it. And so, so I went all in and then I created global clients, and that company that I learned with actually offered me a partnership. Now that's dissolved just about a month ago, but I was their only official partner for a year with that company. And just miraculous things have happened, as I said. And I now have an academy where I teach what I put together, my curriculum. And now in a few weeks, I'll have up to 19 graduates who are now certified Dare to Declare facilitators. And they're from all over the world.
And I see you're smiling and I can see your energy and you're so happy to announce that. So that's fantastic.
Thank you. I get that every time. Yeah. Every time people are like, it makes you, I'm like,
I just see your face just lit up. So it's obviously you're right in your element, right? So that's perfect.
Thank you.
Yes. It's so interesting what you said about so many things, but those questions were really, what's the price you're paying for not following your dream? And all these other things. And then the obstacles that I know that for many, when COVID hit, it was like they were on this one path and then COVID hit. There should be books written about that. But then you took that obstacle in your way and you made something out of it and you created the online version. And I was going to ask you, how did you go from in-person to online? So you explain that. And is it the same kind of experience, I guess, or is it?
They're both different for sure. Yeah. So I mean, it's unique in that it's different if I do it one-on-one with you.
Yeah.
or it's different if I do it with a group. I've done group online. I had a whole group of a teachers union, actually, from Windsor, Ontario. I had 19 of them, and we did over 3 weeks as a group. And the beautiful thing with a group is that you're then everyone's contributing so that you're inspired and you have other ideas. And when you declare, it's not just you listening, but others as well can bring in resources. And I find that a lot where things manifest quite quickly, where you've said something and someone says, I can help you with that. I know someone who's connected to that. So that's really amazing. But also having the one-on-one online is also a beautiful experience. And I get to, like I said, work with people from Dubai and the UK where I couldn't, well, I could, but I'm not regularly traveling there. And then the in-person, yes, I do it. I'm actually this fall, I'm going into the Muskoka, where the small Muskokas are up in Ontario, and I'll be going in the winter. I got to figure this out. I got to drive to Sudbury, but I'm going to be working with 150 educators there. This employer is so progressive. I'm so in admiration of her. They're going to use their vision board as part of their performance appraisal process.
Wow.
So that the employee can create, I'm going to say her, because mostly women in that field, can create her vision and then can share it with the employer. So I just think that's so beautiful.
That's so progressive. Yeah. That's wonderful.
To think about the employee as the whole person, which is how I do create vision boards. I'm not interested in just having it be a singular area around business. So I help, again, I got this from Jack Canfield. I help my clients create a vision in all 7 areas, if possible. And then, what a beautiful thing. So yeah, I actually travel. As I said, I was just in Nashville and I did the power word. So that power word that I made up for COVID has now become one of my staple offerings that I do online. I do in person as well. And it's only a 2-hour commitment where the full vision board is 6 hours. Now I'm going to be going to Mississauga the end of this summer, and we've broken into 2 sessions of 3 hours each. So I'm going to start with this group. There's about 30 educators, and we're going to do it for 3 hours.
It's nice that you're going back to the education world and bringing in what you've learned. That's great.
Yeah. Tomorrow night, I have another workshop that I still do that. So they still invite me in because I am one of them. And so I do understand, even though it was, but in July, it'll be 2 years that I've been out of the profession, but I did have 30 years experience, but I'm bringing this new, fresh perspective around the personal development. And when we think about leadership, there's so much that has to do with mindset and how we view ourselves and what are our personal values and how is that contributing to the overall culture. So I get to bring in that new and all the learnings that I've been doing and coaching to that community.
That just struck something in me because I was in the pharmaceutical industry for over 25 years and now I'm doing this in similar timing. It's been over 2 years since I've left. And it's like what I've learned in terms of reinvention, I could bring back to the people in that industry or in any industry, because especially in the last couple of years during COVID, I'm sure you've seen this with your clients, is that people have really gone inwards and are asking themselves, is what I'm doing what I really want to do? Does it align with my purpose and my vision for myself, especially because of COVID, because how our lives have changed. So that just struck a thing in my head. But
it's actually one of the things that I coach most often if I'm working with someone around reinventing themselves for business, is that I think people think they need to go to the next shiny thing.
No.
And I'm like, but the magic is in what you have, what you had. And obviously you were there and in it and you lived and breathed it for that period of time. Bring that with you.
What are the skills you have? What are the skills you have that you can bring into the future? Sorry to interrupt. No, the skill set, but also the expertise, the authority, and the network. People know, like, and trust you already in that space. And so, like you said, when you're reinventing yourself, when you're bringing this new, fresh perspective, you've already got an open door. Yes.
But I'm surprised how often I speak with people and they're knocking on other genres doors instead of where they just came from.
Yes, that's so true. That's really good advice. Really great advice. I wanted to ask you, Debbi, about the power of gratitude and how that relates to vision board creation and really what do you feel about the power of gratitude?
I love this question. Thank you. I didn't understand this when I first started out, and it's been one of the growing areas of knowledge just because of my experience. Because I've always had this tension with creating a vision board. Does it feel like a demand? Again, I'm going to speak in terms of spirituality, like to God, to say, this is what I want and I'm demanding it. And that doesn't feel right to me. But we get to ask. We get to ask. And so how that's tied to gratitude is, and I explained this in my interview with Jack Canfield, is that I see this as an act of worship, of thanksgiving. We all have been given this gift of life. Every one of us. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, you are living and breathing, that's a gift. This day, today, right now, right here, listening to this is a gift. Because so many people, they've expired, their gift is expired, or they just can't fully live into it for their health reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
So by setting out a vision for our life, it's like I get to fully use this gift to dream so big into this, what I've been given. So I think gratitude, not just as a thank you at the end of something where you receive something and you're like, oh, yeah, thanks. But that you start the day in anticipation, and that builds trust of gratitude. So thank you so much for what is to come today, because I know it's going to be extraordinary.
Yeah.
I know it's exactly the way it's supposed to be, and all things are for my good.
Yes. I start out the day with saying that everything always works out for me, and today is going to be a fabulous day. And so I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah.
And it's the power of the present moment and present moment awareness and being appreciative of the little things. And when you appreciate the little things, then when the big things come, it's kind of like, oh, that's a surprise. Like the vision that comes to reality, it becomes, like you said, you were on the stage with Gabby Bernstein. It was like, wow, that was on your board. And I'm sure that didn't like happen right away. It was like these little breadcrumbs that happened, but you also were grateful for all the little breadcrumbs that come your way.
Yes. And I think that's a real key, is that when we're grateful, remember I talked about the distinction between vision and goals.
Yes.
So when the goals manifest, which are more of those little breadcrumbs, so those little successes, those little things that happen, like, oh, wow, I just did this, or this just happened. That has the same energy as when the full vision manifests. It's just that it's in little bite-sized pieces. So the secret is to celebrate each one of those as well. Because often I'm an A-type personality. I just want to get on to the next thing. I'm just racing through, and I'm forgetting to be grateful, to celebrate those little wins.
Yeah.
It's in that energy that we then are attracting the next and more and bigger and stepping into our full vision.
That's beautiful. That's really great. Thank you for sharing that. Well, so this has been fabulous. It's so interesting to understand more about what a vision board is, how does it manifest, and what can be the benefits of it. And really appreciate you being here. And you talked a little bit about what's coming up next, but maybe tell us where listeners can find you, and maybe some of the programs that are coming up.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. So either my name, which is debbisluys.com, or declare.com. Both will lead you to my website. And on there, you'll see all of my social media outlets. So I'm all over social media. You can check out we talked about the Jack Canfield interview. It's on my YouTube channel. If you want to watch that, it's about half an hour long. And there is, I don't know if we talked about this before, but there are a couple of free gifts for any of your listeners as well on my website. There's a free e-guide on the front page of my website. So there's 3 boxes. One's an e-guide, 5 steps to creating a powerful vision board. I literally leave it all on the table there, so you can pick up that free guide. The next is a scorecard. So it's a fun little 2-minute quiz to discover how big that you dream, discover, and declare. So just to see where you're at, where your strengths are, maybe where some of your challenges. We talked about some, if there's a blockage somewhere, you might be able to discover it through that.
Right.
The last is they can book a discovery call with me. So those 3 boxes are there.
Fantastic. And we'll have all the links in our show notes as well, so people can check it out and look at your great work and maybe contact you. So any last kind of piece of advice or any kind of thoughts before we end the call?
Well, I think we talked about be, do, and have, but the other 3 words I can leave with you is ask, believe, and receive. So that's really the process to all of this is ask for what you want. I remember taking a fundraising course years and years ago, and he said, just ask the ask. Don't beat around the bush. Get really clear. So ask for what you want. Believe that it's possible. So, thinking about what's in our way, what's in my way that's stopping me from believing, from trusting that the universe has my back, that all things are for my good. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, be open to receive. And the way you get to stretch that muscle is as people start to offer you a coffee or a ride or to do something for you, just graciously receive and say thank you and stretch that receiving muscle and watch what the universe sends your way.
Beautiful. Ask, believe, and receive. Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
It was wonderful to have you on the podcast today, and good luck to you. And I definitely will check it out as well myself. So
awesome.
Thanks so much, Debbi.
I'll be in touch for sure.
Okay. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. I trust you enjoyed this episode with Debbi, and it opened your eyes to how visioning can help you expand your brain's potential to see what is indeed possible for your future. Here are her key takeaways. Number 1, passion equals passing I on. Number 2, we all have inner messages, but it's if we choose to act on them. There's a small window, and if we don't act on them, then it's lost. The key is not to analyze, because a protector will try to talk you out of it because it doesn't feel safe. But when we do, and the more often that we do, they're going to become more clear, and there will be more of them. Number 3, the difference between vision and goals is that vision is something that you cannot physically accomplish yourself. Goals, on the other hand, help you accomplish your vision. Number 4, the power of vision boards is the be, do, and have, not the other way around. Number 5, with focused attention and a positive vision, the brain can regrow leafy-type branches. Not only do we attract opportunities to us, but we can also see them more clearly. They may have been there, but we never noticed them before. Number 6, the law of attraction has the word action embedded in it. When you do act, and the universe responds, it's not like a single thing. It's like pebbles in the pond. Number 7, what's the price you're paying for not following your dream? What's the price those around you are paying for you not following your dream? Number 8, when you look at the mirror in the morning, you need to say to yourself, how dare you not show up for your highest self? People are waiting for you. Get out of your own way. And number 9, ask, believe, and receive. Ask for what you want, believe that it is possible, and be open to receive. I trust you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, because it really came from my heart. Remember, if you make the decisions which make you happy each day, life's purpose will unfold. Create a vision for yourself. Follow it with your heart and see what great things happen. Reach out to me for more support. My coaching practice is open to receive you now. Until next week, my friend, stay well and stay safe.